Pictures of the old Jefferson County Fair. They had barns real low, and then they were joined. You know, they had open class. Plus, there was many breeders in Jefferson County, like Piper Brothers, Dragers. Alan Hetz out here is real showed all over the United States. He had Japanese people come work on his farm. That's where the vocational school sits down in Fort Atkinson. That was his farm there. He had a show barn. And it's sort of intimidating when you come to from a barn like ours. The cattle are about this high off the floor. They're about this high, and they're perfectly white, all the cattle. So, our farm started out, my great-grandpa bought the farm in 1900. My dad got an abstract of the title of our farm. It began in 1848. People, there was a Doolittle that bought some of the land. I don't know. Plus, they have up to 1900. They have all the people that owned the land. My grandpa bought, and my great grandpa too, in 1900, that owned that land before him. And then my great grandpa was him and Mina, his wife. They lived there, and they had one son named John Nordell. He went by Nordell most of the time, just like my dad was Gerald Norman, but he always went by Norman. I don't know if he didn't like Gerald or not. Anyway, my folks, they were into genealogy, and they went up to the county office and got the abstract of all the people that owned the land. And, we only had 62 acres at the home farm. 2 acres were the house where Victor lives. It was bought off the other farm somehow. I don't know how they did it, but there was only 62 acres there, plus there was 28 acres down in the town of Sumner, down in the marsh, which was a summer pasture for cattle. And they used to, well, it turned out that my dad had cattle down there, but that was the last time there was ever, and the neighbor had cattle. That's the last time there was ever cattle down there. But my folks, my great-grandpa died in 1935, and so John Nordell, he got the farm. He was the only one to farm. In before that, John Nordell married Josephine Danielson, and that farm was settled. They had the abstract that they had the farm deeded to them 2 months before Wisconsin became a state. So that was 1848. So my grandpa and her were married. So the one had a 1900 farm and the other one 1848. So when they got married, my grandpa and grandma, they lived with their folks. They farmed their farm, and they built the barn. The newer barn was built in the late 20s, early 30s. My neighbor said. I never asked my dad when that barn was built. But a few years ago, before my dad died, there was this hunter. We went down to the state fair, and we got an award from the state of Wisconsin as a centennial. Well, it's a 100-year-old farm better. It turned out to be a 150-year-old farm. That was the Danielson farm. So we have quite a history in the town of Oakland and the town of Sumner too. This is the town of Oakland and town of Sumner, that 28 acres is for the Danielson farm. Then in June of 1947, well, I was born at 45. my dad worked on the Meltzer farm. There's Highway 12 over here where Vernon Davis lives. I was born there in 45. My dad and another guy, Gene Atwood, they milked cows and worked on the farm. My grandpa died in June of 1947. They happened to chase heifers down to the town of Sumner pasture, which is about 1.5 miles away. And he came back home, and he had a heart attack and died. And so my Uncle Perry lived next door, and my Uncle George lived with my grandpa and grandma at the time. They worked the land until 48. And my dad got out of Meltzer farm, and he's been settled on the farm too. So he bought the farm from my grandpa, and it's been in the family since 1900. So he started farming it. And my mother was a great collector of pictures and news clippings of people she knew. So here's a picture of my dad. He belonged to the he went to the vocational school. He never went to high school. He went to vocational school in Fort Atkinson. Here's a picture of him, must be in the middle 30s. He was born in December, so I figured he was about 15, 16 years old. But these kids, there was a pageant put on in Milwaukee for the FFA. And he went to, these all the kids here, a lot of them, well, he grew up with Del Marsden and Kurt Peters, Stanley Pierce, but the Billy Ward here, Bill Ward, they have a farm on Highway G. There was one of the first farm progress days put on, so his farm and Tom Bean's farm are in farm progress day in about the late 50s, I think. Anyway, that's one person that's notable. And of course, Alan Hetz wasn't pictured on here, but he was there. And there's a bunch of other guys. There was Orlo Nutstead, or Nutstead. I think that's Jeff Nutstead's dad. And I don't know about that. But here's Botter. That's all I know about those guys. Well, I know a few of them. They're agricultural leaders in Jefferson County, I suppose, the South and Cambridge area. Here's a picture of my dad. He pitched softball, fast pitch. Plus he worked the farm, milked cows. My Uncle Perry was a shortstop on the softball team. Then there's a bunch of farmers from Busseyville, this side of Fort Atkinson that played softball. They had a softball team. And then I guess they started out playing in softball in pastures. They had cow pies for bases, I guess, I don't know. But they played here in Cambridge. They had a league here in Cambridge too towards the end, but his knees got so bad from pitching, I guess. There's a picture of the farm when well, I figure it's made in the 40s. Because there's, it isn't quite like what I remember in the 40s when my dad moved there, because there's the cow yard here had a big high fence made out of boards. You don't see a fence like this. They're all stacked up together. Plus there's a pig house. And this barn here, my dad destroyed right after we got there. It's painted red, but it wasn't red what I remember, so it must have been quite a few years before that. And there used to be another silo here, a stave silo, but my grandma said that it was blown over. There was a cyclone was here, she called it. That must have been quite a good wind. And there was a tobacco shed here. That's no longer here. We had a tornado and 3 small tornadoes go right north of our dad's place, and then ended up in the road. It flew right off the. So it looks pretty much the same, except few things. There's a chicken house. We had chickens. We had pigs, and then this barn was built in the late 30s or late 20s, and late 20s, early 30s. We had a shanty. That was I guess years ago. They used to wash clothes during the summer out there. Plus they cook out there. And this was a woodshed and an old garage where when I first started driving, I drove a car. I had a '56 Ford. I drove in there, parked my car, but then Dad said he had to move it over here and made a garage, which is still there. It isn't very fancy, but it's a good garage. And so my dad took over in 1948, and we pretty much started raising our family. We had 6 kids in our family. I'm the oldest one. Roger, my brother, he's the youngest. He was born when I graduated, after I graduated from high school. So, my sisters are Stoughton, and they're going up by Plymouth or Elkhart Lake, and Joy she belongs to the town board here. And she's Joy Graffin, I don't know if you know her. So, and then Bonnie, she lives in Stoughton. Anyway, right now this is what the picture of our farm looks like. No tobacco shed here. I wanted to do something with the farm. I got sick of working in the dirt, trying to fix machinery. So my dad built this. He built the corn cribs. He remodeled this. He put a barn cleaner in '67. Otherwise, he had to clean barn by hand. We had back into the nurse spreader. In '67, he remodeled the barn and put a milk house on it. So he did all this stuff here, plus my grandpa, he must have built the barn here too. So I figured I should add something to the farm. So after my mother died, and I got 40 acres on this side, and then I got 40 acres over here. Oh yeah, in between, in 1975, my dad bought the neighbor's farm over here. See, this farm, this house had 2 acres, only went this far. And the neighbor's farm had 58 acres, which Eric has now, my youngest boy. Well, my daughter bought it originally after my dad died. And now Eric owns that part, and Jeff owns the house, and I got this and the land over here. But I want to have a shop, and I thought maybe I'd just put a cement floor in it, insulate it a little bit, put a heater in it. My boys, they made a lot more out of it. You know, Eric wanted heat in it, and in-floor heat. But it's water. And Jeff made, I don't know how many shelves. So we have a fairly nice place to fix the thing. So it's up to date.
It's good for 4-H parties too.
Huh?
It's good for 4-H parties too.
So we're not a very big farm. Eric rents a lot of land. I'm going downhill now, so. But we try to keep the land in good shape. We don't have the best land around there, but when we get good land to rent, Eric raise pretty good crops. I like farming. It's getting a little harder to do it now, but Eric and Jeff fix machinery a lot faster than I do now. So I know that's about all. 2019, that's a long time for a farm to be around. I think where Victor lives now, we're just figuring I thought 5 generations. Well, that's 5 generations. I have the H tractor my grandpa bought in 1945. I fixed it up a little bit and then I painted it, but then somebody decided to steal gas out of it, and they had a big lighter, the gas quit running, and then poof, it burned up the middle of the tractor that one year. Well, it did burn it all, but I fixed it up again. So I have a 1945 tractor. It's driven by 5 Evenson generations, and Victor's 6 generations in his house. So it's a long time. I guess that's all I have to say.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Evenson? Go ahead, sir.
Did you grow any crops like corn or anything?
Yeah, we grow corn, soybeans, alfalfa. I have Holstein steers yet. My wife didn't want to have milk cows. So in 1986, my dad got in the dairy buyout because his knees were so bad, and then I bought the farm next door in 1973. So, and then I worked at Jones's for 18.5 years. And about the same time my dad was getting a dairy buyout, I got laid off, or I took the voluntary laid off from Jones's, and I started farming full time. I farmed my farm, I farmed my dad's farm, and then Wilmer Christensen's farm. It's right north of our place there on Highway C. We raised corn, soybeans, then I had Holstein steers with alfalfa, and then I had little oats for seeding. I know a lot of guys direct seed now, so they don't do that. But, and I guess my dad had pigs too. That we had. I had when I was in high school, I belonged to the FFA. I got in a Sears project where I could get 1 registered gilt. I got a gilt. I don't know where it came from, but you had to raise that hog up. You had to raise. I showed it at Dane County Fair, and I didn't know what I was doing. But I had to have that gilt bred back. Henry Hamer, down by Poplar Point and Fort. He was a real registered Duroc breeder. He had a board that was named Royal Monarch. He showed that all over the Midwest, like Roger Lehman showed all over. I don't know if you know him or not, but there's quite a few hog breeders. Paul Chris, and there's a Coots down Fort. I think they showed a lot of hogs. So I had that bred back, and I started my dad in hogs. And I gave 1 pig back to the Sears project, to the FFA. And then my dad had pigs for maybe 10, 12 years, and then he decided it was too much work, plus the hogs got pretty cheap. So then he went to dairy. The reason why he got out of dairy is too because he milked cows for over 40 years, and both knees had to be replaced. So as soon as he got done with the dairy business, he had an operation on his knees. And then I took over from '86 until, well, now Eric is starting to farm more, so I'm going downhill now. Yeah. Well, anything else?
Any other questions? Well, thank you. Thanks for coming on a snowy night.